Live from the Icebox Studio in Montgomeryville, Pennsylvania. It's the Bill and Corey Show. I'm Bill.
And I'm Corey.
Welcome back. It's been a few weeks. We had the best of, and it's time to do it back live again.
Yeah, they allow too long of vacations here, apparently. You've been gone for too long.
It's just, it might happen again next year, so get over it. We're going to start out today. There was an interesting question that popped up just right before I came back from vacation. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of an odd situation, so you asked for a video, and we got a video. Mm-hmm. So you want to play the video for us?
So the customer calls in and says, if you look at the gauge up there, see how it's going between 200 and like 195, and it's pulsating?
2,000, 1,900, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can you run the video again? So look at the inlet gauge to the pressure regulator.
Yes. And so that is very odd. When I first got a email about this, and I was like, I assumed it was the delivery gauge, because that's usually the delivery gauge is going to have a problem. Maybe there's some back pressure. Very rarely, this is the first time I've seen it, the cylinder gauge pressure was going bop, 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 bop. And so immediately I'm like, whoa, this is totally brand new. I honestly had not seen it, so we asked them to do a bunch of different things to test it. And if you close the valve on the outlet, does it stop doing it? Yes, it stops doing it. When you take, and finally the thing that made us know what the problem was is we had them take the regulator off and put it on a different cylinder. And the regulator worked fine, so then we're like, okay, so now we're working on something. So then we think it's got to be the cylinder. So that cylinder, and if you pull up the picture with the circles on it?
No, I'll take care of it.
Okay, well, go with the RVP then. Take it from here.
Yeah, so, yes. So not a lot of people have experience what's called the residual pressure valve. You want to put up the residual pressure valve? There it is. So that's the end of the video. And you see that cylinder valve. That's a residual pressure valve. It's different than a normal valve. And you can see on the cylinder, there's also a little RPV sticker. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times on cylinders, you'll see oddball things on there, and they probably won't make sense. But they make to the people who fill the cylinders. So you shouldn't really
They couldn't write out RPV with a bigger sticker, so people have to learn acronyms.
What would you see if you saw that? You kind of wonder, what the heck is this? Because there's other stickers on there. There's DOT stickers, and there's purity stickers, and there's...
Mm-hmm. You can see the helium sticker on the other one.
Yep. Okay, now you want to put up the standard versus RPV? Okay, so you can see there, this standard valve looks like that. You might probably familiar with that. And the residual pressure valve, you can see it looks a little different. You got kind of like the inlet off on the side, and it sticks back in the back of it. So it just looks a little odd. So obviously when I saw that, I've had experience in cylinder fill plants a long time ago, and I knew we
back when they used the sniff test.
We'll get into that later, maybe. So I had experience with that, and we used them on a certain product. So so you want to take that down and just get a regular camera there. Okay, so that's a residual pressure valve. That has a some kind of a check valve in there, and the issue that you saw is that the check valves have O-rings on them, and sometimes they stick.
Mm-hmm. Get a little goo on them.
And no, it just sometimes they stick. And anybody who makes a check valve, they won't a lot of times they won't publish that, but they know that sometimes it sticks. Mm-hmm. And they do try to make sure the materials and the way it's built cuts down on how much it sticks. And they'll put typically put a little bit of oxygen compatible lubricant on there to help it stick.
Not stick.
Help it not stick. Exactly. So there's two types of residual pressure valves, and this is in CJ V15, which is a new publication, came out in 2016. Mm-hmm. So you're probably not familiar with that, and I wasn't. So the Type 1 has, it's just like a check valve in there, and it has you need to use let me explain kind of how it works. So it works like, pretend this inner tube is a cylinder.
Use your imagination.
Use your imagination. And then yeah, keep the big camera for this. And then when you put, when you put a bicycle pump on an inner tube, and you flip the lever up, and that pushes down on the little
Schrader valve.
Schrader valve in there, or it opens it up. So that allows you to fill up the tube.
And also,
And then you take it off, and the air's not coming out.
yeah, imagine if the Schrader valve didn't exist and you're scrambling, like, I gotta screw that on really fast before the air will get...
Exactly, so the air's not coming out. So what you need is, when you put your connection on, if you want to have the air, pretend this is a cylinder. You don't want to empty your things. Yeah, typically,
Don't do this with your cylinder.
your favorite, a flathead.
Oh, flathead screwdrivers.
Flathead
Oh,
screwdriver,
yes.
your
Oh,
favorites.
yes.
So if you have a connection that went on there, you'd have to push in that little nipple there, the Schrader valve, and then the air will come out, and then you're...
So you
Pilot
need a
comes
special CGA connection that can push it in?
Yes, you do.
Do we sell those?
No, we do not. And you're thinking, geez, so it would be a CGA connection with a little... Okay, you want to do a close-up on this? This is if you have a propane...
If you have a grill at home.
if you have a grill at home, those have residual pressure valves on it. But I think all of them do now. They used to not. I'll talk about that too. But this has a connection, and it has a little nipple on the... so it's got like some bullet nosed, which is your sealing surface, and that little protrusion helps open the check valve on the Schrader valve, or check valve on your cylinder valve.
Otherwise, you forget to close your cylinder and you take the connection off and whoosh.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why, is that people who use propane cylinders aren't probably don't have a lot of experience.
They might not. They might not have experience, So it's
So
just something to make it easier.
back in the day, the official CGA connection for propane and other fuel gases is CGA 510. And you can tell, of course, everybody knows by the notches on the nut, it's a left-handed thread. And there's your bullet nose.
Everybody knows?
Everybody knows. So that bullet nose is just the same kind of bullet nose that's on this one. So back in the day, I remember...
Did this come with grills?
This came with grills, and this is how you connect. And there was no residual check valve, pressure valve on there.
Okay.
You would just have to put it on, and it's left-handed.
Wild West.
So you'd have to know to put it on left-handed.
Yeah.
So, which
That's
led
when
to all sorts of issues.
Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey fails you there.
I know. So once again, normal people aren't experienced with compressed gas cylinders would mess these suckers up, and it's dangerous. Things could blow up and stuff.
Yeah, propane's not good gas to have just going all over the place.
Yeah, you don't want to have it go all over the place. So this was developed, I guess, by the propane industry, and this is an easier connection to do. You need a wrench. Sometimes it's a smaller nut, so it's a.
And you didn't even mention the nice pancake regulator
that's a
there.
separate thing. There's a lot of features in this little regulator here. But you can use it by hand now, and it makes a great connection. You don't need a wrench and stuff like that. So it's a much safer.
Not needing a
setup.
wrench is actually the best part about it.
So, yeah. And so so your propane cylinder will have a residual pressure valve, and it'll be a Type 1. Now there's a Type 2. So when you have that kind of one, you need a special nipple to fill it and get gas out of it. The Type 2, you can use a standard CGA nipple. And the Type 2, to get the gas out. The Type 2 has, I don't know really bring that in there.
Oh, okay.
But it's got a check valve that the Type 2 keeps a certain amount of gas in the cylinder, less than 100 psi. So, if you open the valve, gas is going to come out.
Yes.
So that makes it kind of easy. So you don't need any special nipples in there. So you just put a regular
What it does
CGA
is
nipple
it
in
protects the purge of the gas in there, so that it keeps it.
Right. So it doesn't have that protection of opening the valve and no gas comes out, but it does. So that makes it easier to hook up cylinder connections. You don't need a special cylinder connection to hook up for that. And it will keep less than 100 psi, close to 100 psi of gas left in the cylinder. So that's kind of a safety thing there. And So those are the two types of residual pressure valves. And Corey, you want to talk about the
Yeah,
advantages
no,
of
I
them?
mean, there's advantages to this. I mean, or else they wouldn't make them, I think, because they probably cost more. The purity of the gas. So with the Type 1 and Type 2, especially Type 1, you know, the gas doesn't even come out unless you push it in. So only a connection will let the gas come out. So there's nothing, nothing will get back in there unless it backflows from the line somehow.
Nah,
That
it won't.
Anyway, I know, but that would be weird. And the 100 PSIG thing doesn't let all the gas out, so nothing will get in.
Yes.
So that's
So you don't get that atmospheric contamination.
Don't
So
get
if you
that.
leave a cylinder open and it goes regular cylinder,
Mm-hmm.
you leave it open, you know, when you use it and then the valve's open and it goes down to nothing, and then you could get
Yeah.
air and moisture back in. So,
and now you got to clean the cylinder more, you know. And also, go down.
okay. And we're talking about the other backflow,
Yeah.
There's. I'll talk about this one because
Okay,
I've had
yeah.
experience with this.
Okay.
And this will be about sniff tests. So, there's no backflow other contaminants. You're thinking, what other contaminants? Well, if you use, let's say, a nitrogen cylinder,
Mm-hmm.
like what was shown in the photo, and you're purging out something or using it to push another liquefied gas, like you have sulfur dioxide or
Mm.
hydrogen sulfide, you're using it to blanket it or push it or something, and let's say you get a regular valve and it gets real low, the cylinder gets empty, and then the SO2 or hydrogen sulfide is pressurized, it'll backflow into that. You're thinking, that's crazy, why would that ever happen? Well, I've worked at a gas plant and it happened. We would get cylinders back, nitrogen cylinders back, and they'd have, I don't remember, this is a long time ago. I think it might have been sulfur dioxide had backflowed into the cylinder, and we're thinking, these guys are stupid. Why don't they just put a check valve
Yeah,
in the
just a
system,
check valve,
and you don't have the backflow. But yeah. So that runs into all sorts of problems. Then your nitrogen cylinder's contaminated with sulfur dioxide. Then you got to like clean it, devalve it, and all sorts of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's
So
another advantage of it too.
Reduce risk of cylinder failure due to stress corrosion cracking. Because moisture, CO or CO2 can create carbolic acid, so you don't want that in there.
Yeah.
There's also, you can have the cylinders in service for a lot longer periods of time, the requalification process.
Well, that's like a European thing,
Oh, that was a European
and
thing?
they're thinking about it.
Oh, all right.
But yeah, that's an issue. Like I said, if you have carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide cylinders, and you have moisture, it'll create an acid, and it'll it won't burn a hole right through the cylinder, but it could cause stress cracking
Yes.
in there. It'll weaken the cylinder, and that's a bad thing.
Yeah, you don't want a weak cylinder.
And then
Strong only.
yeah, you want to have a nice strong cylinder. You don't want to have them fail prematurely.
Oh, yeah. Then, yeah.
So I mean, the disadvantage of having the Type 2 is that when you're trying to fill the cylinder, you actually have to take part of the valve. You got to get like an Allen wrench in there, one of your favorites,
Yes.
and
like
undo a
Allen
plug
wrenches.
so you can fill them. So that gets a little tricky to do them. Yeah, so that's that. That question kind of chewed up the whole.
It did. It
The whole
did.
time for our show. So thanks for watching.
Yes, thanks for joining us again after a 2-week hiatus.
We had 3 weeks.
3 weeks hiatus?
Yeah,
Okay.
you went solo.
I went solo, yeah, that was a
Yeah, then we
disaster.
had 3 weeks. Well, I don't know. I didn't even watch it. So
Yeah, don't.
okay. So, but you can watch this again and again and again and learn about residual pressure valves.
I know, I just learned about residual pressure. I mean, last Friday I learned about
Yeah.
it.
So tune in again next week at 10 a.m. for another great episode of the Bill and Corey Show.
Set your VCRs.